Himachal Pradesh, unsurpassed for its natural beauty and scenic splendor, where serenity prevails and spirituality reigns supreme, has been the source of attraction for rishis and munis, sages and ascetics since times immemorial. Its majestic snow-bound heights and tall sky-touching trees guard its silent valleys, the abode of gods. It is here where the seeker gets glimpses of the paradise on earth, the pilgrim's paradise. Chamba, situated in the inner Ravi valley of Himachal Pradesh, is nestled in the high mountains which have guarded it against reckless armies of invaders. Chamba town has become famous as a town of temples, old and new, big and small. The city of Chamba takes its name after Champa, the daughter of Raja Sahil Varma, who founded this city in the memory of his beloved daughter. A temple in the heart of the city and dedicated to the princess stands testimony to this. The feet of Chamba city are perpetually washed by the rippling waters of rivers Sal and Ravi, forming a confluence at the northern tip of the town. Gods enshrined in the inner cellars of temple are worshipped by hundreds and hundreds of devotees. The temple activity continued in this area roughly for 9 centuries, from the 10th to the 19th century. They speak of different styles and trends in temple architecture, popular during the succeeding periods at Chamba. Lakshmi Narayan is the principal deity of Chamba, and a group of temples is named after him. It is a major group of 3 Vaishnavite and 3 Shaivite temples standing in a row besides the subsidiary shrines in the heart of the town. The marble image of Lakshmi Narayan is heavily decked with ornaments and colorful clothes which lend it an aura of majestic glow and divine supremacy. Cutting of the slim body and torso of the god in the marble slab follows the traits of Kashmir style. The temple is said to have been constructed by the founder king of Chamba, Raja Sahil Varma, in the 10th century. It was thoroughly repaired in the 16th century during the reign of Raja Pratap Singh Varma. The temple emerges abruptly from the ground and then rises in a gently curving shikhar to a height of several feet. It is capped by the Amalak stone of suitable size. The wheel roof was added later to protect the temple from the torrential hilly rain. The form of temples whose shikhar resembles a beehive was perfected by the Pratiharas of Kannauj, but nowhere in Uttar Pradesh, Haryana or Punjab do we now encounter this type of temples. We witness uninterrupted playing of music and dance being performed on the temple by Apsaras, Kinnars and Gandharvas as on Mount Kailash in Meru for the entertainment of the gods. So we find the temple exterior embellished with figures of gods and demi-divine beings. Intricate floral designs and motifs also find place on the outer walls of the temple in a beautiful scheme of carving. On the three cardinal sides of the temple are big niches enshrining one aspect of the deity of the temple or the other. On the northern niche in the Lakshmi Narayan temple, we find a beautiful image of fluting Krishna. And in another small niche, the scene of Samudra Manthan is vividly portrayed. Small niches housing different divinities are stuck between two projected corners. The proportion of these niches lends great charm to the whole edifice. The projected portion at the front of the temple is called Suk Nasika. At the center of trefoil top of Suk Nasika, the motif of Bhadramukh occurs. This motif, consisting of triple form of Shiva as creator, preserver, and destroyer, set in a medallion, is very auspicious and worthy of a prominent place in the temple scheme. Near the main door of sanctum, Suk Nasika is supported by two strong pillars. The space thus obtained is called Antaral, where the devotees stand in obeisance to pay reverence, and the priest performs arti before the deity with the jyoti, a flame in hand. The priest performs puja by chanting the mantras and by means of symbolic hand gestures. He then starts moving the flame before the deity and completes the pradakshina in a circular walk around the temple. The evening music of Aarti mingles with the ringing of bells, creating heavenly environment appropriate for making the devotees one with the gods. It is said that God will inhabit the idol if it is beautiful. The 10th century bronze idol of Gauri Shankar in a temple in the Lakshmi Narayan compound surpasses all canons of beauty. The image of Gauri is invested with supreme feminine grace. Shiva has three visible faces. With the left Vamadev face symbolizing creation, he is talking to Uma. His Aghor Bhairav face on the right symbolizes destruction. The central face called Tat Purush Mahadev is placid, symbolic of preservative aspect of the god. A Bij Purak in God's hand represents cosmic seed. Gauri Shankar is the promoter of conjugal bliss, and so married couples pay special veneration to this god. Of all the temples in Sri Lakshmi Narayan temple complex, the latest in date is the temple of Radha Krishna, consecrated by Queen Sharada in 1825. It is an epitome of Krishna Bhakti of that queen. She also undertook the construction of a flight of stairs to Suhi Devi, the deified queen who offered herself for sacrifice to get water for the townspeople. A small Mughal-type pavilion near the Radha Krishna temple is adorned with cusped arches. On the festival of Janmashtami, the ladies in their colorful best sit in this pavilion and sing in admiration of the Lord. The temple of Lakshmi Narayan continued to be embellished by the Rajas who succeeded to the throne of Chamba. Raja Balabhadra Varma perched the metallic image of Karur on a high pillar at the main gate of the temple. Raja Chhatar Singh placed gilded pinnacles on the temple tops in 1678. Later Rajas also added a shrine or two, thus enriching the entire complex. Wandering pleasurably on the streets of Chamba, we see temples belonging to medieval period built on the model of Lakshmi Narayan temple. Situated within the easy access of the people, these temples are thronged by devout worshippers every day. The temple of Vajreshwari Devi on the northeastern end of the town appears like a jewel cut in stone. The Vajreshwari, Bansi Gopal, Hari Rai and Champavati are the major temples of the town here. The later Shikhar temples, in which the architect compromised the classical proportions and employed simpler details, belong mostly to the 17th and 18th centuries. They are seen in abundance in every nook and street corner of the town. In terms of architecture, the Chamba temples always remained balanced, proportionate, and pleasing structure. As we move on the maze of narrow streets up, we reach the temple of Chamunda Devi, perched on the high shoulder of Shahmadar Hill. From the Chamunda temple, we see a panoramic view, which includes the sprawling town of Chamba. Raja Raj Singh, who ruled during the last quarter of 18th century, is said to have constructed this temple. The Raja was a devout worshipper of Devi. He used to seek her blessings before proceeding on a battle. On its richly carved ceiling, we find introduction of a new style of wood carving. Mughal designs of decoration and motif of winged fairy have been incorporated in an assembly of Hindu gods. Secular subjects like mother and child and lady playing yo-yo have also been given place. Among the other worth mentioning temples of Chamba is the Chandrasekhar temple at Sahu, the temple dedicated to the crescent-crowned god Lord Shiva. From Chamba we drive about 20 kilometers upstream along the Sal river to reach Sahu. Sahu is a fertile plateau hemmed in the snow-bearing mountains. The temple is hidden in a tree grove. Two magnificent images of Shiva adorn the entrance. A huge Shivaling is enshrined in the sanctum. As recorded in an inscription called Sarahan Prashasti, the temple was constructed by Sateki, a local Rana, in order to establish an unshaken friendship between his wife Somaprabha and the mountain daughter Parvati. The temple thus belongs to a period earlier than the foundation of Chamba in the 10th century. The temple of Rama near palace at Chamba and Hidimba Devi temple of Mehla were built by Dai Batlo, the pious and the powerful wet nurse of Raja Prithvi Singh. But the most famous temple ascribed to her is the wooden temple of Khajinag at Khajia. It has an extensive mandap adorned with wood sculptures of 5 Pandavas. A cult god of early origin, the Nag chose a picturesque place for his abode. Under the shadow of snowy Mount Kailash, the abode of Lord Shiva, Bharmor is situated on the spur of a hill which juts into the open Buddhal Valley. Bharmor or Brahmapur, situated in the interior of Himachal Pradesh at a distance of about 65 kilometers from Chamba, was the capital of the kingdom of the same name, which finds mention in Brihit Samhita of Varahamihir and the accounts of Hyun Sang. Bharmor remained the capital up to 10th century when the nucleus of the state shifted to Chamba in the lower Ravi Valley. As we ascend from the lower valley of Chamba to the high mountain abode of gods, Bharmor, we come to a place called Luna. Here, Ravi gushes forth in a full might. We detour about 4 kilometers to Chhatradi to see a fine specimen of early wooden temple dating back to 7th century. The image of Shakti in this temple is the creation of artist Gugga. The image in the true spirit of Northwestern style of sculpture is characterized by linear grace and feminine beauty. The goddess is venerated as Shakti, who destroys the evil forces and bestows boons on our devotees. After our sojourn at Chatradi, we reach Bharmor after driving under the overhanging rocks by the side of Ravi and then the river Buddhal. Chaurasi is the most sacred place in Bharmor, where 84 shrines of the Siddhas and ancient temples stand in the age-old glory amidst the lush green Himalayas. Mention is made of ancient temples which had features like Navanabha Mandap, Pragrave and Chandrashala in the inscription cut on the base of bronze idol of Nandi. The inscription is in Kutil script of 7th century. The temples mentioned in the inscription were probably sublime edifices in wood, possessing a resplendence of rich carved art, assuming different superstructures as the centuries rolled by. The image of Nandi stands in the center of Chaurasi, facing the temple of Mani Mahesh. This temple has a beehive shikhar, and enshrined in its cella is a Suryamukha linga inset in a copper yoni-peeth. Of special interest are the bronze images of Lakhna Devi, Narsingh and Ganesh, in which we witness art and workmanship of very, very high order. Nothing comparable has been left in other parts of the country. Viewed from a distance, the 7th century temple of Lakhna Devi appears like a simple wooden hut under its pent roof, but in its architectural detail, it still retains some early features. On its outer door, which is carved in graceful high relief, we find exuberance of Gupta art, some traits of Gandhara school, an influence trickling from Kashmir. The figures of Ganga and Yamuna are placed at the lintel projections. The pediment above the lintel has a row of flying Vidyadharas, the central figures holding a crown as if to adore the goddess. The ceiling of the temple is composed of several squares placed diagonally, one above the other. Triangles thus obtained at the corners are filled with ornamental devices. The pillars are crowned with the motif of Puran Ghat. Their capitals, used as load-bearing members, have figures of flying Gandharvas on the sides. As we approach the inner chamber of Lakhna Devi temple, we are held spellbound by the lustrous beauty of the image, another creation of the artist Kuka. Inscription at the base says that illustrious Meru Varma caused this image to be made by Kuka. Meru Varma ruled towards the close of the 7th century. Although the goddess is depicted in the warrior's posture with a right foot planted firmly on the head of Mahishasura, the expression on her face is benign and placid. Her hairdo is elaborate, jewels and crescent moon tucked to it. The brass image of Ganesh in the Ganesh temple of Chaurasi Siddha temple complex is also cast by the same artist. The deity wears a Gandhar crown and holds his usual attributes in the four hands. The magnificent bronze image of Narasingha is enshrined in another Shikhar-style temple in Chaurasi. We learn from a land grant charter on copper plate that this image was commissioned by Tribhavan Rekha, wife of Yugakar Varma, who succeeded throne from his illustrious father, Sahil Varma. After paying our most sincere prayers to the joyous gods who have lived in their mountain abodes since hoary times, we beg their leave and bid them goodbye. The gods who, with a benign smile on their face, have blessed the folks with boons of prosperity, longevity, and well-being.